So what do you think changed in the second half of that game? The offense was having some struggles in the first half, got shut
Mhm.
out. What do you feel like changed in that second half?
Really, I think it was just a confidence shift. We had a couple good plays to come right out of the half, and from there we just started rolling. We were trusting, what Coach Cronic was calling, and we were just fighting for every yard that we could get, and I think it just started rolling from there.
I think I counted that you connected on 6 pass plays on that opening drive of the
Hmm.
second half, and it seemed like that gave you some confidence. They gave the whole offense confidence. I mean, I thought that was kind of a really smart decision by Coach Cronic to call some relatively high percentage safe pass plays that were very successful.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
can
it
you
definitely
comment?
gave us some. It gave us some confidence. It definitely gave me some confidence. Completing those easy passes. Getting my guys the ball and allowing them to do what they need to do to get us down the field. I think that was a 14-play drive that we put together right there to end up with the score.
Well, I was just going to say, yes. Also took 8 minutes off the clock. I mean,
Mhm.
that was a signature Navy drive. How good did it feel? You've seen Blake direct those type of drives, and Ty and Xavier. How good did it feel to be the guy at the controls of a drive like that?
Oh no, it felt amazing. It felt awesome. But at the same time, you're in the moment. You're just trying to get down there. You're trying to score. So it felt good once I got to the sideline. But in the moment, I was just focused on scoring.
One of the things that impressed me was the decisiveness you had with running the ball. You
Mhm.
went through your progressions, and if it wasn't there, you took off, and obviously had some very big gains. I believe the one run at the end of the first half on the drive that got you down to the goal line, that was a designed run, correct?
Correct.
Right, but the others were scrambles. I think the other two were scrambles out of pass plays. Would that be
Mhm.
accurate?
Yes, sir.
Can you talk about that? Just the decisiveness of decide. Hey, if it's not there, I'm taking off.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I like to say that my legs are an asset. I'm one of the faster guys on the field. So, in those moments where it's a cloudy picture, or I feel like our guys don't have the best shot, at catching the ball, I don't want to force anything. Just get down the field, get as many yards as I can. And in those situations, luckily, I was able to come up with the first down or a big play.
How about the one Strauss was it 3rd and 16 and Braxton picked up 17 or something like that?
I believe that is correct.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. When what did, did you think you could pick up that big chunk of yardage, or was that the
I
option
mean,
point?
it was kind of the only option at that point. Just trying to make something happen. Luckily, I missed a few tackles. A couple of guys missed me. I was able to dive out for the first down right there, but it's not something that I go into on a pass play, thinking run all the time. I want to try to get my guys the ball and let them do what they can do. But when the time is needed.
So what happened on the big pass play to Nathan Kent? I watched the replay and it looked like the safety played cover 2 on an outside receiver and left Kent wide open.
Mhm.
Do you think part of the play design led to that coverage mistake? And your eyes must have gotten pretty big when you saw Kent that wide open.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe it was just a mistake on their part, but yeah, like you just said, it was kind of that. Um, in those moments, you kind of just gotta hit them. My eyes got really bright. You know, in those moments, you kind of think about just not overthrowing him, just allowing him to get the ball and allow him to go run for the touchdown like he did.
All right, thanks. I'll pass it off.
Braxton was 5 of 5 for 40 yards on that first drive of the third quarter. Scott Wyckoff.
Braxton, what does a win like that do for you guys coming into this week where, you come out at halftime and you play like gangbusters and you really do well and now come into the preparation for Army?
Yeah, it's nothing but fuel to our fire. This is the biggest game of the year. We prepared for this game, since January. So, having a game like that where we, really get rolling again, where we were able to put up a lot of points, it's nothing but just good for us. There were a lot of good things on film, a lot of good things that we saw, but also some things that we know we had to clean up. And that's what we're trying to attack this week.
What is it like for you this year? Unfortunately, you missed out on the Army-Navy game last year. Now being immersed in it, you could at any moment be making any play in the Army-Navy game. What's it like for you now in this build-up, preparing for the game?
Yeah, it's a huge moment. Very blessed to be in the position that I'm in, but at the same time, I've earned the right to be here, and I just got to remember that in those moments and don't let it get too big, and just go out there and execute for the team.
What do the guys tell you about how different this game is to play in? That you've never played in a game like this. They tell you that, and this will be your first chance to really realize that.
Yeah, they say it's a lot different. The hits feel different, the plays feel different, the atmosphere is different. It just means so much to both of the schools. And I think that's really what it is. How much it means. How much we just want to win and represent each sides of our branch of the military and things like that. But at the same time, they tell us, just to stay cool, stay calm, stay collected, and not let the moment get too big.
What does it mean to you personally to have had the chance to play that full game and have had the success you had against East Carolina going into the Army-Navy game?
Oh, it was huge. I think it was really clear that my confidence grew throughout the game. And, I'm just going to try to keep continuing that and just allowing it to build.
I know something a coach talks to you about, play with emotion, but not playing emotionally. How hard is that when this game is so big and, so many people are counting on you and all your friends in your company and the whole brigade? How tough is it to be emotional, but not to play emotionally?
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, it's very tough. You got a lot of people counting on you, but at the same time, you got to remember that in the moment, it's not about that. It's about playing for the guys to your left and to your right who's been going through it with you and who've put in the blood, sweat, and tears, to be in that position.
And what's it like this week on the yard now that you guys are back from break and everyone's there and you're getting ready for this game? What's the buzz like amongst the folks in your company and the brigade?
We're looking for a win. I think that's the buzz. Last year we came up short, so the big thing right now is beating Army, doing everything we can to win.
What was your biggest takeaway viewing last year's game on what needs to be done by a team to win in this game?
I think it's just minimizing mistakes. We turned the ball over a couple times in crucial moments last year, and I think it's just minimizing mistakes and maximizing our opportunities, when we get down in the red zone and we have a chance to score.
Being a Florida guy, how is it out there on the cold banks of the Severn River now, practicing in this cold weather?
Yeah, it's definitely getting cold. I've taken a notice to it. But I got my hot hands, my hand warmer, and my tights and my long sleeves, so I'll be all right.
Thanks a lot. Good luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I've got one for you, Braxton. Jackson Gutierrez did get some snaps against East Carolina as well. How do you think he played?
I think he did great. Coming in there as a freshman, I definitely understand how that feels. I think he did a very good job. He ran the ball hard. He picked up some good yards for us, especially, in the time that I went down. I think he stepped up big time.
Thank you. Wags.
Well, on that note, how good does it feel to kind of turn around the narrative after the Tulane game? The fans were grumbling about the backup quarterbacks, and without Blake, we can't win. And, in one game, suddenly looks like Navy's got great depth at quarterback. Can you talk about how good that feels to, change that narrative?
Yeah, it's definitely a great feeling, but at the same time, I try to stay away from all that and try to just, focus on myself. And I think that's what I did. Going from the Tulane game to the ECU game, just focusing more on my craft, watching film and things like that.
So what's it like to have all these honors? You were named Davey O'Brien you're one of the honorees this week for that. You were the C Touchdown Club local collegiate player of the week. You're Strauss is getting ready to name you the NCAA athlete of the week. I don't know.
No, yes, that was announced the same time. He was in AAA athlete of the week. I'm going to say.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
So how's all that feel, man? You went from, I don't want to say you went from the outhouse to the penthouse, but from, Tulane to now changed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a great feeling. I've worked hard to be in this position, to get all these accolades, but at the same time, you can't choke on the sugar and you got to prepare for the next week because, at the same time, how it turned around to be all good, it could turn around to be all bad. And, And this next game that we got coming up, it needs to keep moving in the right direction. So that's really what I'm focused on. I mean, it's a blessing to get all those, but at the same time, I'm really worried about Army.
So coming off a great game, I mean, there's this possibility that Blake Horvath could start against Army. Does that, I don't know, I don't want to say bother you, but is it a tough situation? You play great and lead the team to a victory, yet you may not be starting the big game.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody who plays the position that I play wants to be the guy, wants to be the starter. But at the same time, whatever is going to give our team the best chance to win the football game, that's what I'm all for, And these games, you got to really be selfless. It's really just about, getting that trophy back into Ricketts Hall and doing everything we can to win. So, I mean, if he goes out there and he's the starter for the game, there's no type of bad blood about it at all.
Speaking of Blake and recognition, are you surprised that he was completely omitted from the All-American Athletic Conference honors?
Very surprised. Very, very surprised. He's one hell of a player, and to not even get anything, I felt really bad for him. But he doesn't care about any of those type of things. I mean, all he cares about is just playing football and winning games for the team.
All right, thanks a lot, Braxton. Good to see you, babe.
Thank you.
I was definitely more mad than anybody on the offense. So,
yeah.
Scott Wyckoff.
What did you know about the Army-Navy rivalry before you stepped on the yard?
The only thing that I knew was that it was the only game on that day. That was about all I knew.
What was was Alabama-Auburn the big rivalry game when you were growing up?
Absolutely, War Eagle. Yeah.
And how did that
game for my family?
And how does that play in your family that they're now able to watch that rivalry one week and now be fully immersed with you in the Army-Navy game?
Oh no, it's awesome. We talk about the Auburn Alabama game the week up until our game, and then when it's time for Army-Navy, the switch flips, and it's all on us.
Everybody sees you playing and going through all the plays in the East Carolina game, but how important is it to have that game with communications, being able to go through a full game like that with the new communication system and how it works?
Oh no, it's huge. It's very beneficial, especially, getting the plays in a lot quicker, not having to rely on the signals all the time and things like that. Especially in those moments where the stadium gets loud and you got a lot of people asking you different things, being able to communicate with Coach Cronic, directly is definitely huge.
And how is it when you look over there and you see Blake throwing up those signals and all the hand movements and stuff? You do that too. So does he do it as well as you do?
Yeah. We believe it or not, we kind of work on that kind of stuff, being able to do our signals properly and being able to give them to our guys so we can get the play going.
Your position coach really has the most knowledge of any of the coaches on the staff on what this game means. Is it really helpful that he has little nuggets and things for you to explain to you about what's different about what you might be seeing?
Yeah. Coach Jasper, he talks a lot about his past experiences with the Army-Navy game. He shows us a lot of past film. We talk to a lot of the older guys who have come through the academy and who've played in those big games. And I think really what it boils down to is not letting the moment get too big. He says that a lot. He says it's just football. At FedEx Stadium, the field is 100 yards. There's 10 yards of end zone, on both sides. So it's the same playing field. We just have to go out and play.
It seems like you're the type of guy who likes that challenge. You want to be in those big games. Am I right?
Absolutely.
What's it like having Coach Cronic there, kind of adding new little wrinkles each week, knowing that you guys are going to have some cool stuff possibly for Army that they've never seen before?
Oh, yeah, it's very exciting. Coach Cronic, he's an offensive mastermind. Like he knows how to create these magnificent plays and stuff. So I'm really looking forward to it, what we got planned, and just getting ready to go execute.
And finally, what's that feeling like when you run a hard play and you're out there and you get knocked to the ground and those big offensive linemen are literally sprinting to help pick you up and get you back to the huddle? How does that feel, part of the brotherhood?
Oh, it feels like you're a king, like you're protected by, like you got your own little secret service. It's amazing. Great feeling.
Thanks a lot. Good luck.
Thank you.
I have to get it on the record. The stadium is now Northwest Stadium. It's no longer FedEx. It's Northwest Stadium. And the Army Navy game, of course, is presented by USAA. Wags.
But it could be the Redskins again, I'm hearing.
Well, we're not going to get into that. Wags. Any other questions on Braxton?
Yeah. Well, you were mentioning about Go War Eagles, but what kind of rivalry is there within your family with your uncle and your father?
Oh yeah, that's a huge game. Yeah, it's all love at the end of the day, but yeah, they definitely cheer for their respective teams. The house definitely gets pretty loud, the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
So growing up in Florida, you didn't care about any of the Florida teams?
I never really was much of a Florida State fan. I really only paid attention to Auburn and Alabama.
Okay, gotcha.
I just got one. When your uncle played at Alabama, did you still root for Auburn or did you root for Alabama those years?
Auburn.
Okay.
Got to go with my dad.
He's paying the bills. A smart move.
I was thinking back with your runs, the touchdown runs. Was that kind of a read option type play? Was that maybe I think you faked it. That was a run type play, wasn't it? The one long.
Yes, sir. Yep, absolutely, it was.
So it's got to be fun when Coach Cronic gets on a roll like that. I mean, he really had them seriously off balance with the mixture of running and passing.
Yeah, it's great. When you can kind of sense that they're on their heels a little bit and, we just keep pressing and keep driving the ball. It's a great feeling, just pick up those easy yards like that.
So it seemed like in the second half, it was maybe a little more wing T type plays than triple option. Would that be accurate?
Let me think through it. I'm gonna tell you, we didn't make a ton of adjustments at halftime. I may have called a few more things that we hit them with some jet sweeps in the second half, so that was pretty good play for us. But we didn't do really any triple in the game, in this particular game. So I mean, there was even in the first half, there was some double option stuff, but there was no triple option that I can think of. I think we just executed a little bit better, and we were able to get to a few more things because we had the ball a little longer. I mean, the first drive in the second half, I think, was about 8 minutes long. So you get more plays, and you get deeper into some of the things you want to call. So, but yeah, I think maybe the jet sweep is what you're talking about. Eli got loose on a couple of those. The touchdown runs that Braxton had were just a little, like we're going to run some trap option from the gun, and he follows up inside. And then the biggest difference between the first half and the second half was the critical downs, the stay on the field downs, third down and fourth down. The first half we were abysmal in those situations. In the second half, I think we were something like 7 out of 8. That was the biggest difference. I felt like in those moments we just executed a little better. We made some better decisions. And made a few plays. I thought Chapman made a couple of third down plays that were really big for us, catching 2 passes. So I think that was the main difference between the first half and the second half.
Braxton was 5 for 5, I believe, throwing the ball in that first possession of the second half. Did you consciously want to have some safe high percentage passes that could build his confidence, build the whole offense's confidence, or did you just feel that that's what was there for the taking?
Some of both. You're trying to do both. You're trying to, he hit a few stop routes. He, I can't remember if it was the first drive or the second drive, but the second half he hit Chapman on a little hook route off a sprint out on third down. So yeah, and then some of our RPO game opened up a little bit in the second half. I mean, that was, we hit Jake on a little flat route, and then the post route that Kent caught. It's the same play. It's just that time the post route was over. It was just so some of us just they made some defensive mistakes too. They turned that loose. So Some of it's just, Braxton making decisions and taking what they're giving him. Some of it is deliberate in the calling, but some of it's just, you know, taking what they give you and not worry about trying to get the ball way down the field.
And so, upon reviewing the film, what can you say about Braxton's performance? He's getting a lot of accolades this week. He was the DC Touchdown Club Player of the Week and NAAA Athlete of the Week, and also Davey O'Brien watch list honors for the week. What can you say about what he did?
Well, I thought he definitely made strides, and from a confidence standpoint, just felt like things slowed down for him a little bit in the second half. You know, and the guys around him played well. So I just felt like he has a lot of ability, right? He's got a lot of God-given ability. He's extremely fast. He has good size. He has the ability to throw the football. And you could see just in some of the runs in the second half, he was much more aggressive and downhill with some of those things. Some of the things we've been, talking to him a little bit about is, hey man, you can really be something running the ball. It's just kind of the mentality, stop thinking about yourself being a thrower and all that, which we're going to do that. But think about, man, when you're running, because he made some big third down runs too. He picked up some third down situations with his legs. So I think as the game went on, he became a better runner just as he gained confidence. And um, there's still a lot there. It wasn't clean. The first half, we've got to. I think the first half we easily left 10 points out there, probably 14 to 17. And then the second half we were extremely efficient. So it's amazing what can happen when you just start playing a little bit cleaner. But I really thought that the other players rallied around both he and Jackson. Jackson did some good things while he was in the game. Jackson's going to be a good player also. So I think it was good. Now it's really good moving forward. I think not only does Braxton gain confidence in himself, I think his teammates gain confidence in him. I think he feels like, we can go out there and play against anybody, and he's going to be effective. So it's as much that as anything. Just looking, hey, I can do it. And look what happens when I execute and play at a high level. And he was definitely a big reason we won that game.
Um, you mentioned Jackson Gutierrez. I know it was a small sample size, but what was your thoughts on what you saw out of him? He didn't seem like the moment was too big for him. He went in there and seemed to play with some moxie.
He did. He did. He got a little stuff to him, and you don't really know. Like I said this at the beginning of the year. I didn't know how good of a runner Blake was going to be, because we don't ever live tackle him in practice, right? So, same thing with Jackson. We felt like he would be a strong runner, but to see him go out there and as physical as he was running the football, um, you finally get to kind of see that live against really good competition. So, uh, he did some things. He's got to slow down a couple things and let some things develop. But his first play in there, we ran him, and I knew he wasn't pitching it to nobody. He was going to run the ball downhill, um, and so that's his nature, is to be aggressive and to compete. And he's 205, 210, so he's got some lead in his pencil, and he can throw the ball. You didn't get to really see that, but he does have the ability to hit throws, so it's exciting to know, that we feel like, man, we've got, you know, players at that position that can do things, right? That's really exciting, especially for our future. Um, so it was good to see him get in there and respond the way he did.
Well, on that note, I mean, it's amazing how things change in 1 week. After the Tulane game, the Navy fans were grumbling that Navy did not have a capable backup quarterback and could not win a game without Blake Horvath. And now I get an email this week from one of those grumbling fans saying, wow, we've got great depth at quarterback.
That's the reason I don't listen to anybody or read anything right there. That's That's it, man. It's such a fickle thing, right? And it's such a fine line between success, and quote unquote failure. And the bottom line is you got to go play better than the team you're playing against. You got to execute better than they do, and each team is different. Matchups are different. I mean, you watch Tulane play Memphis, right? I mean, it's just every week you got to come out with a good plan. The players got to execute. And if you don't go play well, you're going to lose, to most anybody. And if you play well, you're gonna have a chance to win. So, um, the thing I liked offensively was I didn't feel like we didn't beat ourselves, right? We kind of got back to that. We did have the one turnover, but we didn't have any sacks. We didn't. It was like only 3 lost yardage plays, and that's very minimal. We did not have a procedure penalty, right? I mean, those are things that kill you, and we didn't have a procedure penalty. We had 2 penalties, but none of them were. One of them was a hold, and one of them we lost our composure a little bit. But uh, to play, I felt like a much cleaner game, and that's always a concern when you have new quarterbacks in there, right? Is just the process of putting the ball in play, and that was something we were able to do, and so we didn't beat ourselves, and that was kind of what we were doing early in the year. And then the second thing was we got back, we had 9 explosion plays, and that. Don't beat yourself and then take advantage when your explosion play. When you have an opportunity to have an explosion play, you got to make the play, and that was kind of our recipe early in the year. Excuse me, and it just felt like that was, especially in that second half, was a little bit. Heck, it was heck. It felt like we just needed to kind of break through, and then the floodgates opened up a little bit for us, and so that ought to help confidence for the next game. And now it helps my confidence. I'm human. You start going, oh my goodness, what in the world? You have a couple of bad weeks, and football's fickle, man. You just got to keep working and keep grinding and keep believing in what you're doing.
All right, I don't want to dominate the time. I'll pass it off.
I just want to remind Wags that those same people said those same things about Blake Horvath last year. So take that for what it's worth.
I hate to say it this way, but those folks out there don't have a clue. Sorry, guys, y'all don't have a clue. Love y'all, appreciate everybody, but you don't have a clue.
Scott Wyckoff.
Coach, what does it mean for this offense going into the Army-Navy game, knowing that you've got 2 quarterbacks that you can count on after, you knew it from practice, but from seeing it in a game from Brax?
Well, I just think, first of all, I'm happy for Braxton, right? That, because it's hard. It was a hard situation to have him put in Tulane because you just, you're going out there and it's happening fast, and all of a sudden you're instead of sitting on the sideline, you're in there playing, and so it's always great to see guys take steps forward, okay, and people that have it in them, that they have it in them, and listen, Braxton got put in some hard situations last year too. I mean, it was difficult, so it's all been, man, when I need to break through, right? And so hopefully this type of performance just it builds, right? It just builds on top of itself, and next time he's called upon, which could be the next game, we just don't ever know. That's what's hard about being a backup quarterback. You just don't know when that opportunity is going to happen, and you got to prepare like it's the next play, So yeah, it's great to see him go execute like that, knowing he can do it. So whenever he's called upon again, I think you'll see hopefully something similar, right? And every game's different, every situation's different, and we have good games, we have bad games, and everybody as individuals, as teams, sometimes your game plan just happens to fit perfectly with what they're doing defensively, with whatever they game plan that week. And sometimes they fit you a little bit better, and you got to be able to adjust. And there's so many moving pieces in football. So all Braxton can do is keep building on what he's done and keep gaining confidence and keep working to improve. Just like Blake, just like Jackson, just like anybody on our team, is keep taking steps forward. And when you're called upon, be ready to execute.
Now, is this the week where you lobby to maybe move in to the Jasper household so you can get as much knowledge from him about what it's like to run an offense against Army
I've been asking a lot of questions. I've been asking a lot of everything from just, how loud's it going to be? What's this going to be like? You're thinking through a lot of different scenarios about how these games generally go. They're generally low scoring, right? They're generally one possession. You don't have as many offensive plays because you just don't, the clock's running, because of the nature of what the teams do. And so you got to be really selective and you got to make the most of your possessions. I mean, there's so much that goes into it. And it was that way, Air Force too. I was asking a lot of questions about, what that looks like. But it's very exciting. I mean, this is such a special thing to be involved with an Army Navy game. And it means so much to so many people. Um, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm excited about it. I'm nervous about it. I want to do the very best job that I can and our staff can do of putting our guys in the best situations to be successful against a really good team. Army's got a good football team, but I think we do too. So we just got to get a good plan together, get the guys feeling good. I don't want them pressing. I don't want them, on walking around on eggshells. I just want us to go be able to play free with confidence, and I think that's really the message we're going to have, and we want to game plan in such a way that our guys can go play fast.
What's impressed you with what you've seen so far from this Army defense?
They're just sound and solid, and they do a great job coaching those kids. It's Nate Woody's a really good. He's got a lot of years in this business and seen a lot of things, and gone against these type of offenses, and they play hard just like our players do. I mean, it's unbelievable watching academies play, just the effort and the level of desire. So those guys, and they're smart, right? They're smart kids. So it's not like you're going to just go out there and fool them, right? You got to be fundamentally sound, and you hope you can, catch them off guard on a few things. But the bottom line is we got to fit better than they do. We got to play more physical than they do. We got to play harder than they do. We got to play smarter than they do, which is extremely challenging because they got awesome kids too, and so that's who's going to make the fewest mistakes, right? I think inside the 10-yard line is critical. That's been an area that they are extremely good in, right? Even Notre Dame had a hard time now inside the 5-yard line, and that's kind of been over the years, that's been a tough area, right? So I just think they do an outstanding job they have good players, how hard they play, how physical they play, how sound they are, and how well coached they are. It's just really good stuff.
How do you approach watching Friday night's game? Do you watch that at home, watch it just live, and then go back and go over the tape afterwards? Do you watch it with other coaches? How do you go about that?
You're talking about the Army versus Tulane?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you watch it live. I think that you get a feel just watching the flow of the game. And then you go back and pick it apart, right? You study it and rewind it and all that. But I do think watching it live and just getting a feel for that is a good thing. I think that's a good thing.
How neat is this for your dad, having a son coaching in the Army Navy game?
He's, my dad thinks this is the greatest thing, because this is how he grew up in the tradition and the history. I mean, those are things that he appreciates. Yeah, I mean, we talked last night. He's a mess now. He's why'd we do that? Hey, this look pretty good. He's watching everything, but my dad, there's not been a more influential person in my life than him. And I know that he's proud of, the things that I'm getting to participate in and the people I'm getting to be around. And he lives vicariously through every call, every play. So I'm blessed. I'm fortunate to have I got a good dad. I got a really good dad.
Well, stay warm out there at practice these 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my toboggan on today.
Thanks.
All right, let's go to Mike Mayock from Westwood One Radio. He'll be doing color for the Army Navy game on the radio. Mike?
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Mike?
I'm really good. And I was doing some homework on you,
Uh-oh.
reading some of your stuff.
Don't dig too deep.
And I apologize because I haven't got into your tape yet, so I can't even ask you a schematic question. But what did pop out to me reading about you, and you just touched on it a minute ago with your dad, you were a high school wing T quarterback for your father, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
And I was too.
Okay.
And we live in Philadelphia, about 45 minutes from University of Delaware. And I basically grew up on their campus every spring with my dad, watching Waggle and watching him, watching him.
929, 121. Yep.
Exactly. You
Yep.
got all the terminology. So we have that in common. And
Well, that staff would always come down to Georgia to do the Southeastern Wing T camp down at West Georgia College. So that was something that a lot of high school coaches in Georgia, wing T was really popular in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and people have gone, it's still the same concepts, right? You're in the gun, but you're doing a lot of the same stuff. Now, Coach Malzahn was an old wing T guy, just so
right.
it's adapted and developed, but they would come down every summer, and I went to that camp several times. So yeah.
Yeah, it caught my eye, and I'm reading articles about it's the new millennium wing T and all this, and I'm kind of, and again, I haven't seen the tape yet, so I apologize, but I'm kind of putting myself in the head of your quarterbacks, and in comes this new coach this year. I guess they had a new offense a year ago, right? Here comes this new coach with this new millennium wing T. What was in your mind the most difficult adjustment for your quarterbacks?
I think what we've talked a lot about here, and I was fortunate to get here, and these guys could do it, is that we're asking them to be a lot of things. Okay. They're triple option guys. But they got to be pro style, so we're doing a lot of things, and like I'm very fortunate. Blake, had been a triple guy since seventh grade, right? True triple veer midline, right?
Yeah.
And then to get here and see him develop as a gun in the gun, with his throwing and progression reading and just understanding, pro style concepts, and Braxton as well. Um, you know, uh, those guys have the tools to do a little bit of all those things. So that was a very much a pleasant surprise, and especially how quickly they picked it up and were able to do those different concepts. And then our O line. I mean, you're asking, we're a hybrid. There's a lot we're asking our offensive line to do. It's not just fire off on zone dive or triple. It's be able to pull and be able to pass set and do 6-man protection, and be very multiple in the different things that they have to understand, and the different fundamentals in their toolbox. Okay, so we and certainly there was a process to that, but by the end of spring, I just felt like, okay, we've got these guys are smart, they're tough, they're learning, and I felt like that we had a chance to do all those things. And we still got to do some triple. I mean, this is, we have to make people play assignment football, and we have to, when we play people, our superpowers got to be our discipline, our toughness, our intelligence, and just our uh, togetherness. This is such a special place,
Yep.
especially in
Yep.
the world of the transfer portal. That's got to be our superpowers. Our guys are developing together for 4 or 5 years, right? Um, so those were things that I've really enjoyed. These are the best kids in the country to coach. I mean, it is special. And the guy and the men I get to work with on the coaching staff, and the guy I get to work for, the relationship. So the people involved are just outstanding. Um, and there's still, you know, I'm still learning some option football. Like I ask, like, yeah, I mean, when you talk about Ivan, I've learned a lot from Ivan. I was really looking forward to partnering with the guys already here and putting some of those things together, seeing how they might fit. Um, so this has been an unbelievable experience for me to grow as a coach, right? So me bringing things to the table, those guys and putting those things together, and building an offense that hopefully we can be successful with.
I told your head coach yesterday that when I was a senior at Boston College, we had to play all three service academies and how little I enjoyed that experience. It was
Certainly.
everything you just said, discipline, tough. I got so tired of those 5'8", 182-pound wingbacks chewing my knees out.
Yeah.
It drove me up a freaking wall. So I appreciate and love what you just had to say about the kids you're coaching. And really, I think my last question right now is just, you said something earlier in the call that intrigued me about a coaching mindset when things aren't going well. Okay. And when you're in the middle of a game and your play calling, you feel like I need him. Like, so I found out with John Gruden, like he always thought there was a magic pill. Like he could call a magic play because he just was so confident all the time. He could find something to turn a game around, right? When things aren't going well, what do you find yourself falling back on? Is it, hey, we got this gadget play, double pass that I think may go, or is it the basics, or it might change every week, but what do you inherently fall back on?
That's a great question. I think you're wanting to go, how do we, give especially our quarterback something he's confident in, right? How
Right.
how do you give him something that he feels like he can go execute? Sometimes you even ask him, hey, what do you
Right.
like? What are you comfortable with here? Because I don't get to play a single snap, right? Those kids got to go out there and execute. So you try to think back on what has this guy done well, not maybe just this game, but earlier games, and is that appropriate now, right? And you try to do that in game planning as well. I mean, you're trying to do that, but you know, play calling is a rhythm thing too, right? I mean, you get going, and and the players help me get in a rhythm. Hopefully, I help the players get in a rhythm,
Right.
right? It's both things happening at the same time because when they're executing, it's much easier to call the game, and if I put them in good situations, it's much easier for them to execute. So I think there's both things happening at the same time. But I think you try to go back to players, okay, and what do these players do well, and combine that with what might the defense be giving us here, or giving us the best chance to execute, and then let's get going a little bit. Let's get a first down. Okay. Let's get a first down. Okay. And because my nature is to be aggressive. Okay. It is to be aggressive. And so there's times where that's good, and there's times where I gotta just slow down a little bit and just make sure we're letting the kids go out there and get themselves going. And I think a good example of that's the third quarter of the day. I mean, that first drive was a long drive, right? And we kind of chipped away at it, and then Chat scored on the power read play there. Everybody executed. When you go watch that play, the perimeter blocking was perfect. It was teaching tape. It was everybody with their hands inside, everybody square, and everybody leveraging, and got us on the perimeter. And and so then the next drive, same thing. You start putting drives together, and uh, then everything's kind of working at that point, right? So you got to get into that though, that groove. But I think it's really about the players and what do they do well, and give them something that they can go hang their hat on.
I think that I like that answer, especially trying to give the players something they feel comfortable with.
Mhm.
I think that's awesome. So I just want to wish you well, coach, and I'm excited about being a part of this game. And I've done it a few times, and there's nothing like it.
I'm excited about my first time.
On that Chapman play, I know Andre Ware could not stop talking about the Isaiah Bryant block. That's kind of like the final block there. He brought it
Wasn't
up
that
about 3
outstanding?
times. Yes, that was
Yeah.
outstanding.
Yep.
Isaiah definitely deserves some credit on that. Wags, we got about 5 minutes.
Well, just real quickly, I mean, do you feel with 3 full weeks to heal up and get healthy that Blake will be able to go against Army?
I think so. I mean, he knows his. I mean, I think so, right? And what degree? Is somebody 100% or are they 94%? But I mean, from talking with everybody, I think that looks very, very probable. So and Blake is a tough kid. So but listen, he could be 100% healthy, and on the second play of the game, he could twist his ankle. I mean, you just this is it's a physical game. It's a tough deal. Everybody's got to be ready. But I think right now, looking at it, I feel pretty confident that he'll be ready to go. I do.
Well, this may seem silly to say based on how the season's gone, but does Blake need to show you that he's 100% healthy and also is sharp? I mean, because he's been off now for several weeks. Is he got to, based on how Braxton played, does he have to show you? Because Coach Newberry said on Monday when we talked to him that he thinks the rib injury has affected his throwing ability because he hadn't been quite as accurate here in the last 3 or 4 games as he was earlier in the season. Does he have to prove to you that he's sharp and 100%?
I mean, I don't know that I would word it like that. I want to get out there and see that he feels good. I mean, that's I want to get out there and see that he can execute. I mean, I think he executed a lot of things really well when he wasn't 100%. So that's kind of yeah. I mean, and every day you go out and it's competition, and I think players are trying to prove something every day. But I certainly I want to see him get out there and practice and practice at a high level. I think that's pretty important.
Lastly, for me, were you surprised that Blake did not receive any recognition on the All-American Athletic Conference lists?
I was surprised about a lot of that. Not just Blake, but that's okay. I mean, that's I was
Eli Heidenreich's had a pretty good season too.
Exactly. So there's a few guys that I think are pretty daggum good that maybe didn't get the recognition they deserve, but that's I mean that may give them something, it gives them something to prove, I guess, but I was surprised. Yeah, those kids are good players, and they've made a lot of plays in this league, and for us to have 8 wins and those kind of things, yeah, I was a little surprised that we were not represented a little bit more, but that's not the end all be all. I love for our kids to get recognized, because of how awesome they are. But that just gives you something to go prove, I guess, which is always a good thing.